Many of you have not read the book. Many of you have read the book. And I knew that I'd also have some lawyers here. I'd have some judges here. And I wanted to make sure that I offered something to some of you that haven't read the book and offered something to some of you who have. So I decided to go after chapter 7, morality, right and wrong. Here's the way I approached life. Here's the way I approached the practice of law. Here's the way I approached this trial. I want to take all of the evidence and I want to figure out, much like you do when you're putting together a puzzle, how the pieces properly fit together. If the piece of the puzzle does not fit, then you don't have the right story. When I engage people about issues of faith, I engage them on this question: how well do your puzzle pieces truly fit the world in which we live? How well does your view of reality conform to your life? Do you live consistent with the viewpoints you espouse? See, I was at an age once where I could espouse lots of viewpoints I didn't agree with. I would espouse them sometimes just to get attention. When I was in high school, I said many things just because I thought it was pretty funny and I wanted to see how people reacted. But if you ask me if my life was consistent with what I was saying, it wasn't. Because the way we live conveys what we truly believe, I think. So when I look at the issue of what the world is like and I try to put together the puzzle of the world, one of the things I'm asking myself is, which puzzle piece fits? What makes the most sense of things? You know, I look at the issue that we're going to look at tonight, which is right and wrong, morality, good and evil. And I want to challenge you, and I want to challenge myself. I want to challenge anybody watching this to fairly and accurately ask that question. Which puzzle piece adequately explains the way life is, the way the world is? What viewpoint of good and evil explains my life around good and evil? If you're not following me, that's okay. We've got some time to talk about it. I've met very few people that would not agree with me that one of the greatest atrocities of humanity is the Holocaust. The rise to power of Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich in Germany is an interesting one to read about. He was elected by one vote in the Reichstag. Adolf Hitler, as an elected man, as a Führer, in a new government that was deemed a top-down government, properly came to power and used his power to great, ill, horrendous, horrible, unimaginable destruction and horror. Consider some of the pictures that we can see. The pictures that came out of the Holocaust. Millions upon millions killed in the most inhumane ways possible. And when we look at the photographs, it turns our stomach. There are photographs that were too graphic for me to put in this presentation. I had great hesitancy about what I might put into this presentation and what I might give you. But I will tell you that after the Holocaust was over and the Allies won World War II, The decision was made by the top 4 governments with the support of 17 other governments to put the war criminals on trial, and to do so at Nuremberg. Here in Nuremberg, where the anti-Jew law was first passed, it was converted into a courthouse, and 20 some odd German captured criminals were put to trial. Now, I'll admit I'm a nerd. And what's worse, I'm not just a Bible nerd, I'm a legal nerd. I'm like a double nerd. If you want something to enlighten your mind while it turns your stomach, read some of the testimony from the Nuremberg trial. You can read books about the Nuremberg trial, but you can read the testimony. You can see the documents readily available on the internet or your local theological library. In the docks were a number of people. I've pulled out 4 pictures for you to look at. Hermann Göring. The cross-examination of Hermann Göring is an interesting one to read. Hess, von Ribbentrop, Keitel. They sat and they endured this trial process, but they didn't go to trial immediately. What happened was interesting. Before they went to trial, for 8 months, the 4 major governments met together. The United States, Great Britain, France, and the USSR. And each sent a prosecuting representative. Justice Robert Jackson from the Supreme Court took a leave of absence from our Supreme Court of the United States of America to be the U.S. prosecutor. And before the trial began, for 8 months, these 4 government-appointed judges, or prosecutors, I should say, met together to try to figure out how they were going to do things. The Russian didn't understand. He said, we do trials all the time in the USSR. It's very easy. You bring in the criminal, he confesses, you take him out and kill him. It takes 10 minutes. The French representative wasn't much different, because the continental system was very much not that different. But the British government and the U.S. government said, no, no, no. The accused gets a lawyer. There'll be a trial. The accused has a right to cross-examine witnesses. The Russian was dumbfounded. He says, you've got to be kidding me. And the American said, no. And then they set themselves over the next 8 months to the most horrendous chore that they had to do. They had to write the laws that they were going to use to convict the Germans. Now, if I ask you, did the Germans do something wrong? Were they evil? Was it reprehensible? Everyone would raise their hand. But there's a real tension in this world about what right and wrong really is, because I'm going to suggest to you, I'm going to give you my end result now, and then we'll work there together. That the idea that Hitler did something wrong and that the Third Reich was in error only works logically. It only fits in the puzzle of someone who believes that there's a God, and a moral God at that. I don't know anybody who can read this testimony and not agree that what happened was horrendously wrong. But it was a real struggle for the prosecutors to put together a program to convict these men. So here's what Justice Jackson says in his opening statement. He says, we're going to convict these men, but here's what we're going to convict them of. They took from the German people those dignities and freedoms that we hold natural and inalienable rights in every human being. They excited the German ambition to be a master race. We charge guilt on plan and intended conduct that involves moral as well as legal wrong. It is their abnormal and inhuman conduct which brings them to this bar. To this I ask the question. That works real well if you believe in moral right and wrong. But where does that right and wrong really come from? For Justice Jackson to say it's an inalienable right means someone had to give it to you. An inalienable right is not one given by society. Society could take it away. An inalienable right is not one given by a government. The German government authorized everything these people did. It was legal by the laws of Germany. So what do you have? And how do you have it? You've got these horrendous wrongs. And yet in the midst of those horrendous wrongs, we ask this question. Were Hitler's actions truly indefensible? Here's how I came to the chapter. If I was forced to defend Hitler, how would I have done so? Now, most everybody says, well, Hitler would have had no defense if he hadn't committed suicide. No defense. And I just want to say, true back then, but you give me the right jury today, and I walk him. I walk every one of them. You give me the right jury today, and I walk them. You give me a jury who believes in God, and I can't walk any of these people. So how do we explain the immorality of Hitler? Hitler was immoral and Hitler was wrong because Hitler did not recognize and appreciate the dignity of human beings made in the image of God. Hitler did not treat people with the dignity and respect they have, inherent because God made them in His image. And everything within us cries out, that's wrong, because it is. And we can argue things. And we say, no, that's not why it's wrong. Because we don't want to accept the truth that there's a God out there who's moral. But if we don't accept that, our piece of the puzzle just isn't going to fit right. It doesn't matter which perspective we're coming up with. If it's anything less than an objective moral God, I'll argue you till the cows come home, but you give me an independent juror who shares your perspective, and I'll walk Hitler every time. And it's a frustrating problem that philosophers know about. Oh, they'll argue a positivistic ethic. Okay, we don't have any basis for it, but let's just all agree this is going to be wrong. It just doesn't work. A real moral God is the piece that makes most sense of things. It's the right shape, it's the right color, it's the right fabric. It explains that deep part of us that cries out at injustice, because justice is moral and injustice is not. I go into more detail in that chapter, and I've got a number of other chapters that go with it too. But the idea behind this book was Christianity makes the most sense of the puzzle pieces that all of us have as we put together a world view, as whether we do it consciously or not. What explains the way we truly feel the world is? What explains best our sense of right and wrong? What explains best our sense of love, our sense of dignity and honor?